Hello, everybody. My name is Jonathan Walden. I am the program director with the Boys and Girls Club of Virginia Peninsula, and this is 5 Questions Career Launch Style. I have the wonderful opportunity of interviewing our CEO here at the Boys and Girls Club of Virginia Peninsula, Mr. Hal Smith. Thank you, sir, for being a part.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's my honor to be part of this video today, and hopefully I can share a few words of wisdom and something that the kids can take with them into the future.
I'm excited. Well, let's dive right in, guys. We got 5 quick questions that we're going to ask Mr. Smith, and we're going to get this insight. First question: who is Hal Smith?
Well, I could probably sit here all day and talk about that, but I'll say this. I am a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son. I grew up in York County, went to Tabb High School, graduated in 1990, so I am a product of the peninsula. I know all of the benefits of growing up in this area and understanding the rich history and tradition that we have here on the peninsula. I love the water. I love taking full advantage of all of the opportunities that we have here at our disposal. In my job, I meet a lot of people across the country that work at different Boys and Girls Clubs in different areas, and one of the things that I always hear when they say, well, where is the Virginia Peninsula? And I explain it, and they say, oh, you're right on the water, you're right on the right. Chesapeake Bay, and I'm proud to say that. That's part of my heritage. And when I went off to college, I went to George Mason University up in the Northern Virginia area near Washington, D.C., and a lot of the folks that I went to school with stayed up there and decided to work up there, but I decided to come back here really because I love the area so much, and it's where my family's located. So there's just a little bit of insight on me and who I am.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know that you graduated from Yorktown.
Yes.
That's great. Well, okay, so what's one fun fact? You gave us George Mason, you gave us being a father and a husband, but what's one fun fact that we don't know?
Well, I don't, Jonathan, you might know this, but I know a lot of the kids will not know this, and this is one that I always kind of fall back on, when you meet new people and they say, hey, tell me something interesting about yourself. And I always fall back to this because it's pretty unique. I was born on leap year day. So I was born February 29th, 1972, which by calendar years makes me 48 years old. However, I've only had 12 birthdays.
Wow.
So 12 February 29th, and so people will always ask me, well, what day do you actually celebrate your birthday on the off years? And I'll always say February 28th. And they say, well, why not March 1st? Because that's the day after February 28th. And then I'll say, well, February's 28th is the last day of February.
Right.
So there's different ways to look at it.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting and unique fact about me.
Wow, that's funny. We have a CEO that's only had 12 birthdays on his birthday. That's great. I love it. So, as our CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Virginia Peninsula, many people don't really know what a normal day-to-day operation looks like for you. Give us some insight about what a normal day looks like as the CEO.
Okay, well, let me say this. A lot of people think of nonprofit work as different than working for a business. Really, there's not a whole lot of difference in working for a nonprofit as opposed to working for a private business. Okay. There's some tax implications. We are a nonprofit. We do not pay tax, but we are considered a corporation. And what I mean by that is we are registered with the State Corporation Commission. We are a fully functional entity, just like Taco Bell or Exxon or companies like that. So you have to really go in with the mindset of when you're in the position of Chief Executive Officer, you've got to be very flexible. You have to have a great team around you. You'll have just in any course of life, in any job that you do, you'll have a schedule of events or meetings, but you have to be flexible because things come up. In our line of work, sometimes we may have the opportunity to interview with the news media about some of the great work we're doing, or unfortunately about some of the tragedies that might happen in the community. So you have to be very flexible. You have to be a great time manager. You also have to have trust in the people around you and the work they do, because when you're in the seat as CEO, you've got your level of responsibility. You've got to talk about the organization, to reach out into the community, to really tell the story of Boys and Girls Clubs. But then I can't put all of my efforts into making sure the clubs operate properly, or making sure other financial support comes in. I have to have a good team around me, and then that team has to have a good team around them. So I think another important factor in being a CEO is having a clear message to not only your staff, but the board. A nonprofit is governed by a board, so we have a board of directors that kind of helps watch the oversight of the organization, helps raise the funds that we need to operate our programs. So I have to make sure that the message that I'm conveying to the board is the same message I'm conveying to staff, and then that message carries out into the community. So when we talk about Boys and Girls Clubs, we pride ourselves on the fact that we have clubs, in various parts of the peninsula, and we serve, nearly 1,000 kids a day, and and we have the 5 core, program areas. So it's just clearly defining what is our strategy for moving forward. How are we going to continue to make sure that we're serving kids in the best way that we possibly can, and making sure that all facets of the organization understand that, and there's buy-in also.
Wow.
So it's a lot.
It sounds like a lot. I was trying to take mental notes for when I become a CEO, but that's awesome. That's awesome. So I've been part of this organization for at least 5+ years that I can count, or that I can remember on and off. And that entire time you have been my CEO. The previous CEO was leaving, and then you had entered in, and that's when I joined this particular organization in Virginia Peninsula. Out of those many years, let me ask you this question here. What is the most memorable thing that you remember of this organization?
The first thing that comes to mind is the first day that I took over as CEO, because there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of energy and anticipation, but then there was also an immense responsibility that I had, and when I sat back in the desk that's right behind us, I thought for a second, all right, this is it. This is the time that that I can put my mark on the organization and help the organization move forward. And I think that's when I realized that I can't do this alone.
Gotcha.
I have to have I have to have buy-in from the board. I have to have buy-in from the staff, and I have to make sure that we have a great program for the kids, or the kids aren't going to come back. So there's a lot of responsibility there. So that's the first one that comes to mind. Secondarily, I'm gonna throw a curveball, and I'm gonna talk about 2. Sometimes it's not always great being the CEO. There's a certain amount of stress involved, and sometimes there's things that you have to do that you don't want to do. So recently, police officer Katie Fine from Newport News Police Department was tragically killed in the line of duty. Honestly, just about 1.5 miles, maybe not even 1.5 miles from our club on Hampton Avenue. So that hit me because I had met Katie. I knew the impact that she had on the girls that she coached in the basketball league, and I knew from the press conference that Chief Drew had that he connected the dots between Katie's service to her community beyond wearing the uniform and working every day. So I realized that when folks started calling and asking for comment, and knowing that we needed to show our appreciation for the time she gave us in the short 24 years that she was on this earth. Sometimes it's hard to handle situations like that. But that is, it certainly creates a memory. What I was really, I think what stood out most is the day after her passing when we had the basketball tournament. I saw all of you guys. I saw all the staff. I saw all the kids at the club. I saw everybody working together with the police, and that just was tremendous for me. I was very, very, very small part of that. You know, where the staff, you guys, your colleagues, the part-time staff that worked in the clubs, and the kids really did the work. You really, you really made the impact. You built that bridge between the police department and the community. And I you know, while that was a very difficult event to be at and to speak, I had so much pride in what we do and what we had accomplished as an organization with regard to the work with the Newport News Police Department.
Wow. Yes, sir. Wow. Wow. My last question. So there may be a young person or somebody else listening to this particular interview, and they're like, I want to be a CEO one day. What words or what wisdom would you give them to a future CEO from your current standpoint now?
You know, I would say there's a number of things as you go through school and you define what is going to be my plan for the future. Recognize that plans can change. Mm-hmm. You know, there may be a time when you decide you want to go into another career, another endeavor. But if you remember where you came from and what you learned along the way, there's things that I do now and decisions that I make as a CEO for Boys and Girls Clubs of the Virginia Peninsula that are guided by decisions or really decisions I didn't make back in my previous life over my now 25 plus year career. So I think recognizing what you can learn along the way, recognizing you can't get there alone. Recognizing that you have to build a very strong team around you, and being able to take have the courage when you realize that there are things that maybe you can do differently or the organization can do differently to achieve the same goal. Having the courage to be able to step out on that limb and do that, but understand that you've got to position yourself in the right way, that you have the right support, the right people along the way to be able to make those decisions with you and to bring you along the way. You know, leadership is the struggle, being able to gather people together for a common struggle to a common goal. And so when I think every day about what I do, I think about, all right, what do I need to do to get folks to help see what we need to do and where we need to go as an organization, and how do I rally folks to all work together for that common goal. I think leadership is the key. There's a difference between leadership and management. You know, leadership is showing the way. Management is just kind of watching over tasks and things like that. They're both very important, but I put more of my efforts into the leadership role as the manager role, so to speak.
Wow. He's giving me another idea for another show, guys. But I really, really want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, carving out time to talk to us and help us build out what a CEO looks like with our career launch program. And listen, guys, this is the first of many. And so if you have time, please follow our program, our virtual programming that is on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and also on our YouTube channel. We're serving meals daily, Monday through Friday. And we are hoping and we are praying that you guys remain safe and that you guys are doing the things that you need to do to continue to excel. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time today.